All right, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of College Fantasy Tonight. We're covering the Florida Gators tonight. Speaking of those Florida Gators, are there CFF Diamonds there? Is the best receiver, is this the best wide receiver core in the nation? And what is Aaron Philo's ceiling? We'll get to all of that. Before we do, drop me a comment in the chat. Let me know who you think is going to lead Florida in receiving this year. Is it going to be Eric Singleton? Is it going to be Dallas Wilson? Is it going to be the second-year man, Vernell Brown? Let me know in the chat. I'm Felix Sharpe at Sharpe Review on Twitter for CampusToCanton.com. It is my personal mission to grow the game of college fantasy football, whether you're playing C2C, which incorporates both college and NFL, or just straightforward CFF, traditional college fantasy football. This is the channel that you want to stay locked into. If you're so inclined, go ahead and check out the website that I helped co-found, CampusToCanton.com. I've been really getting into it here this offseason, trying to study the teams. We got over 133 FBS teams, so we got a lot of work to do. Have done BYU, Colorado, Cal, and Michigan thus far. We're getting started today this week with Florida, a team that has a lot of moving parts. Like the video. You can do that to help grow college fantasy football. And come around 8:30 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. That's when I'm going to be doing these and posting these live. If you want to interact with me, you can hit me up in the chat. Appreciate it. All right, so lots of things going on with this Florida team. I think that this is the type of team where you can find a lot of value because there's a lot of uncertainty. You got a lot of change. You go from G5 Billy to G5 Jon. Jon Sumrall is now the head coach coming over from Tulane. Buster Faulkner is your offensive coordinator. Buster Faulkner was the OC at Georgia Tech the last 3 seasons. What does that mean? He has familiarity with Eric Singleton, who was a freshman there at Georgia Tech. Eric Singleton now in that Florida wide receiver room. Haynes King was a wide receiver one, the last 3 seasons or so, double-digit TDs on the ground. Very productive quarterback for us in college fantasy when he was healthy. But Buster Faulkner would also have familiarity with Aaron Philo, who was Haynes King's backup the last 2 seasons. You know, this team has some players that have been valuable from a C2C perspective, from a CFF perspective in seasons prior. Of course, Jaden Ball last year had some value. Dallas Wilson had, one explosive game against Texas, and his value exploded. And Vernell Brown, probably had the catch of the year last year for Florida. So he's a player that has had some value. He's one of Austin Nason and Colin Decker's favorites coming into the season last year. I can't remember which. I listened to Campus Life. I can't remember which one had the opinion being high on Vernell Brown, but shout out to those guys. They really get the wide receiver position accurate. So Eric Singleton coming over to this Florida team. I argued last year at Auburn that he was out of place. I didn't think Jackson Arnold would be able to get any of those wide receivers the ball. And lo and behold, Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Eric Singleton. Who am I missing? Who's the other one? They've all transferred. And rightfully so. All right. These are going to get you through the spring. I appreciate that. Uno mas pasole. I appreciate that. We are going to get you through the spring. We're going to do this homework and get you there. All right. Let's get right into it. Let's put up the depth chart and see how I think it's going to play out this year. At the quarterback position, we got Aaron Philo. Tramel Jones returns after backing up DJ Lagway last year, and they bring in a freshman in Will Griffin. We'll take a look at his tape here later this evening. At the running back position, Jaden Ball returns. He was an 1,100-yard rusher last season. London Montgomery comes over from Eastern Carolina. Evan Pryor has been at Cincinnati, I think Colorado, Ohio State. He's kind of been all over the place. He comes over to add some depth. Duke Clark. Anthony Rubio is returning from last year, and Justin Williams. We're going to put a pin in Justin Williams. He's a freshman, a little bit of a tweener between running back and wide receiver. And then at wide receiver, Just like Colorado, I think that 1 through 3 might be some of the best in the country with Fernell Brown, Eric Singleton, Dallas Wilson, if he is healthy. Bailey Stockton comes over from Georgia Tech. He is Aaron Filo's former high school teammate. TJ Abrams returns to the team. Davion Gross is a freshman wide receiver that we're going to talk about. Micah Mays returns. Jalen Lloyd, who his freshman year averaged 39 yards per catch at Oklahoma State. He adds some speed to this Florida wide receiver room, and they bring over Luke Harpering from Georgia Tech and Lakota Dupree from JMU at the tight end position. And so, as we always do, I need a producer. I tell you what, I need a producer. As we always do, we're going to start at the quarterback position and just talk about what is it? Do we have anything here? Aaron Filo, he's probably going to be in a quasi quarterback battle with Tramel Jones, who's returning from last year. I tell you what, I really like Aaron Filo. I think that this is the type of player that you get on your roster and they just kind of grow, right? They just kind of grow in the background and you don't ever start them. And then you get to the 3rd season or the 4th season where they're a starter and they provide some real value for you, whether that be in college or even blossoming into an NFL prospect. So let's see what Aaron Filo can do, because he reminds me about a very specific player. And you can let me know once I get these highlights up. Let's show Aaron Filo. All right. You let me know who Aaron Filo reminds you of. We got to go back about 8 years or so. Big 12. I think the Big 12 was still there. Even that, they're right there. Connecting with Eric Singleton here on the deep ball in this game against NC State. NC State, by the way, is who I'm going to cover tomorrow. Subbing in for Haynes King the last 2 years. Had more time on the field in 2024 than he did in 2025. Haynes King was very healthy in 2025. Oh, look, I don't even have it. Somebody let me know I don't have the video up here. Okay, here we go. We need a producer. Okay, let's start this over. Here we go. All right. Aaron Filo, this first throw connecting with Eric Singleton in this game against NC State. Reconnecting with Eric Singleton. I tell you, one thing that's, I would say, a little bit concerning about this Florida team is I don't see where Buster Faulkner and Jon Sumrall ever crossed paths in their coaching careers. If I don't see that they have, this feels like one of these hires that the athletic director was like, you got to hire Jon Sumrall, or you got to hire Buster Faulkner as your OC. But somebody let me know. Let me know if Jon Sumrall and Buster Faulkner ever coached together. I don't see that they have. But he can move a little bit. In 2025, this dude averaged 13.3 yards per attempt. Now, that's on 28 attempts. Only played in 2 games. But even here, this is 2024 tape. You see he likes to throw the ball downfield, whether that's on crossers or getting the ball deep to his deep target. Gonna hit Eric Singleton here again. And you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Mason Rudolph at Oklahoma State. If you remember Mason Rudolph at Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy loved to throw the ball up to James Washington, Tylan Wallace, these kind of long arching deep balls. And that's what Aaron Filo reminds me of. That's what he reminds me of. Now, I want to bring up the website. Because, I want to see statistically. I was like, is there a case for Aaron Filo statistically? I mean, that 13.3 yards per attempt, that's pretty aggressive, And I said I compared him to Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph averaged like 9.4 yards per attempt for his entire career. Anything above that 10 or close to that 10 threshold, that's when a player is really pushing the ball downfield. That's when the player is really pushing the ball downfield. And it looks like that's what Aaron Philo is going to do once he gets the opportunity to be a full-time starter. All right, I want to see what he looks like analytically. Maybe you guys haven't noticed, what we offer at campus2canton.com, but there are tons of statistics that you can take a look at if you want to analyze players. And I'm going to I'll show you just an example of what we have. Let's add this to the screen. This is our player metrics tool. So I can go to the quarterback position right here. I can do running back, wide receiver, tight end, any of the fantasy positions. And I'm going to go over here to quarterback, and let's go to yards per attempt, because remember that 13.3, that's pretty, at least from the naked eye, it seems to be pretty damn good. And let's bring up Aaron Philo from last year, if you all haven't seen what this looks like. So Aaron Philo, here's his chart, experience adjusted yards per attempt. This dotted line here is the average of quarterbacks with a top 12 NFL fantasy season. So it gives you, I call it Jarek's magic line. Jarek Backus, who's created all of these tools. Jarek's magic line, how high above that line is a player. That gives you some sense for analytically how they're doing. So Aaron Philo's way up here on that line, way up here. Let's go to, let's see, is that yards per attempt? You can pick anything here. You can go to QBR. I don't think he has enough data to have a QBR here. Yeah, nothing there. Completion percentage. So 75. This is just, it was such a small sample size. Such a small sample size in this second year, but you see here it's in the 75th percent, or the 75% completion percentage. It's way above the line. But I really just wanted to show what the website offers. So Aaron Philo, is there something there going to Florida here in 2026? I think that he's going to be in an alleged quarterback battle with Tramel Jones. Tramel Jones, who, played well enough as a freshman behind DJ Lagway, coming in the Kentucky game, late in that game, and looking okay. But I think Tramel Jones is a backup. Is a good college football player, but he's a backup. And this feels like a quarterback battle that's going to be similar to that Kenny Minchey, CJ Carr battle last year at Notre Dame, where, maybe Tramel Jones pushes late into fall camp, but I fully expect Aaron Philo, especially given his familiarity with Buster Faulkner and the rest of these Georgia Tech guys that are over there, Bailey Stockton, Eric Singleton, the tight end. I expect Aaron Philo to be named as the number one quarterback at some point, if not at the end of spring camp, at some point in fall camp. So I'm not going to pull up Tramel Jones. I think he's a backup, so I don't think that we necessarily need to cover him. But we should probably cover Will Griffin. Will Griffin is a true freshman quarterback out of this class, and he's probably the future. He's probably the future of this program. Might be a while, but he's probably the future. All right, so let's bring up. Oops. I want to show you the Campus to Canton freshman guide. Can I do that? I tried to do this before. I need a producer. Yes, I can. Here we go. All right. I'm going to read Will Griffin's freshman guide package, but I also want to just give you a sense for all the data that we include in the Campus to Canton freshman guide. So you see their spider chart here, including the recruiting grade, the star index, which is our proprietary number for how good or objectively we think the player can be, landing spot, velo. I don't even know what high school. Oh, strength of schedule, how good their strength of schedule is there. And of course, this profile was written by Austin Nace, and you see our projected pick as far as the freshman and supplemental drafts is rounds 5 through 8. I actually agree with that. So this is Will Griffin's profile. I'll read it, and then we will I'll read it, and then we'll bring up Will Griffin's high school tape and see what he looks like. All right, when the Florida programs are good, the best in the state, athletes the best in-state athletes stay at home. When Florida programs fail, they flee to greener pastures. As of late, Florida's big three have not been strong, but with Miami's national title appearance, Gators fans are hoping new head coach Jon Sumrall can help keep more athletes like quarterback Will Griffin in the Sunshine State. Griffin's evaluation is buoyed by some of the best intangibles you'll see from a high school prospect. He is, to this evaluator's knowledge, the most experienced player in the 2026 recruiting class, or at least certainly the most experienced in this guide. I'm going to just go ahead and read, but this is, I remember hearing about Dante Moore getting some playing time in camp as an eighth grader going into ninth grade, eventually taking that position at Detroit King. I've never heard of this, what's coming here in this next sentence. Griffin appeared in 4 games as a 7th grader and earned significant varsity playing time as an 8th grader. Getting playing time as a 7th grader on varsity is insane. He's played in 64 games and thrown over 1,350 passes, completing 65% or better in each of his final 3 seasons. Griffin is also visibly intense during games and leads by example in difficult situations. Griffin has a 54-mile-an-hour max throwing velocity. I don't know where else you're going to find information like that, which is roughly average, but he has no problem making any throw asked of him. Griffin is especially effective pushing the ball downfield, though he has excellent ball placement at all 3 levels and rarely makes egregious accuracy errors. Griffin is at best when he can throw in rhythm at the top of his drops, although he can extend plays and work out of structure. He's thickly built and is more of a bruiser than a rusher, although he prefers to scramble the throw. So there's just a sense of what you get from the Campus to Canton freshman guide. So let's bring up Will Griffin and see what he looks like on tape and see what he looks like on the tape. He's accurate too. I see. I don't know if you're talking about Philo or Griffin, but I do like how accurate Philo is downfield. It'll be interesting to see him in a full-time role. I have him rostered already in a lot of places. I remember there's this highlight where Louis Riddick was calling the game, a Georgia Tech game. I was looking for this, I could not find it, but he said he thought Aaron Philo could win the Heisman Trophy, and I was like, man, just going straight from 3 stars, starting a couple of games to think he can win the Heisman Trophy. That's a lot of hyperbole, but Louis Riddick is as dialed in as anybody. All right, here's Will Griffin. Boom, there we go. One thing I noticed about this guy is he's very lackadaisical, which I mean that in a good way, I guess. He just doesn't seem flustered by pressure or anything around him. And he has kind of these baseball arm angle throws thrown across his body, getting the ball deep. Not a rusher from what I've seen, but already has NFL size, and he can vary velocity when he's throwing. I'm surprised that 54 miles per hour was his max velocity, because there are some throws where I really see him rip it. Now, when I am scouting high school quarterbacks, the go routes, I don't even count those, because every quarterback has the vertical shots that when some wide receiver is deep and they can hit them in the whole shot against cover 2, or if there's one high safety and they beat their man defender, they can get it out there. I really want to see some of the line throws. That's a good one right there. That's a nice hole shot right there. I want to see some of those low trajectory throws, but that's not always accurate either, because I thought Drew Aller, I think, is some of the best high school quarterback tape that I've seen. So is Devin Brown. Devin Brown is also some of the best high school quarterback tape that I've seen, and I was wrong on both of those guys. But you see Griffin here, not anything flashy. He's going to be in the pocket. He's going to try to throw the ball deep. Anytime you have one of these pocket passers, you have to surround them with talent. You got to surround them with talent if they're going to maximize their fantasy value. And I think that Will Griffin is no different. I actually think that Aaron Philo is no different. as we're going to see here later, I think that 2024 team with Philo, or excuse me, with that 2024 Tulane team with Darian Mensah and Mekhi Hughes, I think that this 2026 Florida team could look very, very similar statistically, and we'll get to that after we cover the entire team. So that's the quarterback position. We got Aaron Philo coming in from Georgia Tech, finally getting to start. Let's see what he looks like as a full-time starter after sitting for 2 years. Tramel Jones, I expect him to be the experienced backup, but not necessarily push Philo. And then Will Griffin is the freshman that he's probably not going to play for. Aaron Philo has 2 more years of eligibility. If he decides to use them, he's going to be around. And that, right now, I would expect Aaron Philo to use those 2 years. So we're talking about Will Griffin not getting on the field until his 3rd year at the earliest. That's something to consider if you're drafting him in campus to Canton leagues. In CFF leagues, he's probably not a consideration at all. All right, let's bring up the depth chart again, or how we see it shaking out. So Aaron Philo in campus to Canton leagues, I think that he's probably a top 30-ish quarterback, but one that presents, great upside for his value. Great upside for his value. Just given his play style and how aggressive he's been as a part-timer. That's the other thing. He's been aggressive as he's been throwing the ball downfield as a true freshman and then as a second-year starter. So what is he going to look like, playing in his same offense here with Dallas Wilson, Eric Singleton, Vernell Brown? I mean, legitimately, if they're all healthy, one of the best wide receiver cores in the country, that has the potential to be some very fun football. It has the potential to be some very fun football. From a CFF perspective, I don't think I'm drafting any of the quarterbacks. Aaron Philo doesn't run, and he's going to be a pocket passer, and maybe in a deep league, he's probably I would guess he's probably in the top 50 range at quarterback. I haven't looked this up, but I would say he's top 50. If we're talking about underdog in Power 4 only, maybe he's top 28-ish. But he's a potential value there, but just because we don't know what he is as a full-time starter. He doesn't run the ball. So people might be more inclined to stay away from this Florida offense, given that there's change. But if you're watching this in March, you're a diehard, and so that's why we're looking at players like this, to see if there's value. Let's go to the running back position. I think the running back position is really, really simple. I really do. I think it's Jaden Ball and then guys and then Jags. And then Jags. Jaden Ball and then some Jags. So, London Montgomery comes over as the most productive of these guys that they brought in or who could back him up. London Montgomery, who split the backfield with Marlon Gunn last year at East Carolina. I don't think that he touches Jaden Ball. I don't think Evan Pryor does. Duke Clark, Anthony Rubio. Justin Williams is interesting. We'll cover him here in a second. So I think Jaden Ball is like just the guy. I think he's just the guy. Last year he had 220 carries. You put the over-under at 205. I think I'm going over. I'm going over on 205. We're talking about Jaden Ball going into 2026. Let's see what Jaden Ball looks like. I also have a player comp for him. I have a player comp for Jaden Ball. If you gave Katron Allen over there at Penn State, if you gave Katron Allen the backfield to himself and didn't have him split carries, I think that's what Jaden Ball would look like. I think that's what Katron Allen would look like. Katron Allen would look like Jaden Ball. He can take the volume, but he's going to get caught from behind. He can thump you, but not super explosive. Not one of these explosive. He's going to be on that Katron Allen, Jordan Howard, that type of player. But he's going to get I think he's going to get a lot of volume in 2026. Had 220 carries. Was he a true freshman last season? No, that was his second year. I think he's going to get at least 220 this year, because I don't think that there's another guy in the backfield that you really want to hand the ball to, that you want to build your offense around. So if we're talking about CFF, he's a top 15 running back. He's probably higher than that. I'm just like projecting, but he's probably, when it's all said and done, going to be a top 15 running back. If we're talking about like underdog, he's probably a top 10 running back. He's a first round pick if we're talking about underdog, best ball drafts. But to me, this is what Katron Allen would look like if he was not splitting the backfield with Nick Singleton. Physical, can thump you, but not super explosive. You guys let me know in the chat if you have a comp for Jaden Ball. I've got him rostered in one or two places. You know, the landscape at running back in college football is not particularly strong right now. So Jaden Ball is, even in C2C leagues, I mean, he's a top 10 running back. He's a top 10 running back. You know, some people might have some freshmen in front of them that are more explosive, but just productivity. See right there. I mean, he turns that corner, but he doesn't have the juice to get linear and get up the field. But he can thump you. He's also a little bit. I mean, I think he's a thumper. But how much does Jaden Ball weigh? He can't be over 210 pounds. Let's see. A small thumper is like not a great thing. Oh, I didn't realize he's 6'1", 231. Why didn't I? Yeah. So Jordan Howard is perfect. Jordan Howard, Katron Allen comp. That's what Jaden Ball is. He can afford to lose 10 pounds. Add some explosiveness. If you have Jaden Ball rostered, I mean, you're very, very happy with your pick. You can probably start him every game in 2026. I just don't think that there's a player who's going to touch him, who's going to compete with him for carries. You know, I think it's going to be 70-30, whoever the next guy is, maybe 80-20, and I think the next guy is probably going to be London Montgomery. But are you going to give Jaden Ball to limit his carries to 150 so that London Montgomery can get 110? No, I don't see that happening. And like I said, that 2024 team, Mekhi Hughes was the primary guy. That's the guy who touched the ball for the running back for the Green Wave. Now, Jon Sumrall in the offensive coordinator, but a lot of the assistant coaches who were on that staff are at Florida now. Actually, I want to just show you. Let's bring up that 2024 Tulane Green Wave team, because I think from a fantasy perspective, I think that they could look very, very similar. Darian Mensah, Mekhi Hughes. Was Mario Williams the lead? Yeah, Mario Williams was the leading Roger. Mario Williams transferring over from USC. I really like Mario Williams, too, coming in as a freshman. So here, let's take a look at that 2024 Tulane Green Wave team. Darian Mensah. This is like when Darian Mensah arrived, that 2024 season before transferring to Duke. Darian Mensah was a 65% completion percentage guy. Remember, he was very efficient. He didn't get a lot of attempts each game, but was very efficient. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I could see Summerall wanting to do something similar with Aaron Philo this year. And then Mekhi Hughes. He got whatever check he got to go to Oregon on the back of this 2024 season, where he had 265 carries, 1,400 yards, average 5.3 per attempt, and 15 touchdowns. Mekhi Hughes, by the way, I'm not writing off Mekhi Hughes just yet. I'm not writing off Mekhi Hughes. But Jon Sumrall used him as the primary guy, and you see Arnold Barnes here. He only had 87 rush attempts. The second leading guy only had 87 rush attempts. If we go to the wide receiver position here, Mario Williams had 1,000 yards catching, receiving. Dante Fleming had about 600, and Euclid Brown had 407. This is the thing, though. I mean, it's no question that this Florida receiver corps is 3 or 4 times better than what Jon Sumrall had in that that 2024 season. But how the offense is distributed, I could see it playing that way. So Jaden Baugh, to me, is an RB1, I think, regardless of format. He's an RB1 in Campus to Canton, incorporating college and NFL. He's an RB1 in CFF. If you're playing in those underdog tournaments down the line in August before the season starts, he's going to be a first-round pick there because the offense is going to revolve around him. I don't think London Montgomery or any of the other guys in this backfield are going to take market share from him. Joe Craddock was the offensive coordinator for that 2024 Tulane team. He's the quarterback's coach for Florida now. Bam Hardman, he was the running game coordinator and linebackers coach, having responsibilities on offense and defense. He's the linebackers coach for Florida now. The running backs coach stayed at Tulane. But, two guys that were heavily involved in that offense are in that Florida room now. So I don't think that there's a whole lot to say. I don't think Aaron Philo is Georgia's all-time leading passer. I think I did. He surpassed Trevor Lawrence's records, didn't he? Was Trevor Lawrence from Georgia? Cartersville. Yeah, Cartersville, Georgia, right? Trevor Lawrence is Cartersville, Georgia. Let's see if I got that right. Trevor Lawrence. I think Aaron Philo broke Trevor Lawrence's records. Yeah, Cartersville. Pulled it off the top of my head. Cartersville, Georgia. So I mean that's not nothing. That's not nothing. All right. So I don't think that there's a lot to say about the running back position. I think it's going to be Jaden Baugh and not a lot else. Let's bring up the depth chart again. If you're so inclined, I don't know that there's if we look 3 years down the line, who's leading Florida in rushing, that player is not on the roster. Oh, let's back up a little bit. I'm sorry. Let's back up. Justin Williams. Justin Williams is a freshman, 5'11", 197, almost 200 pounds, who is listed as a wide receiver on the 2026 spring roster. But he is most definitely a tweener. They've even talked about him potentially playing running back, but in high school he played. Which one was it? Yeah, it was in his junior season. Justin Williams was 1,000-yard and 1,000-yard guy, 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receiving. Florida actually has two of these guys. Davion Gross, he had like 1,500 yards receiving his senior year and 1,000 yards rushing. They have two of these guys who are tweeners. Justin Williams is the one who is built more like a running back, and the other freshman who is it Gross? Am I saying his name right? I'm going to say Gross. Or Gosi. Gross. I'll say Gross. Gross is 6'2", like 185, 190, and so is built more like a running back or wide receiver, excuse me. He profiles similarly to, I'm not saying the same caliber of player, but remember Emmanuel Henderson in that Nick Singleton class? Emmanuel Henderson was the second-ranked running back there, and he's like, this dude is 6'2", 180. What do you mean he's going to be a running back? There's no 6'2", 180 running backs. That's what Gross is. On the other hand, Justin Williams, smaller, 5'11", 200 pounds, much stockier, thicker build, playing wide receiver and running back. This running back group has like no good players in it. And if he's going to get on the field in 2026, I think he's much more likely to get on the field as a running back than he is as a wide receiver. That's why I have Justin Williams starred here as both running back and wide receiver. But he is listed, I'm just telling you, he is listed on the 2026 roster as a wide receiver. Let's see if that holds. We know that players change positions all the time. My man Caden Fegan is in Illinois as a tight end now. I'm not doing well. Caden Fegan is a tight end now. So players change positions all the time. All right, so that is the most exciting thing about this team. It has to be the wide receiver position. Vernell Brown, Eric Singleton, Dallas Wilson, like all of these guys have legitimate day one or day two NFL draft potential, period. Vernell Brown's super versatile, returning punts for this team, can do a little bit of everything. Eric Singleton, he's always reminded me of Hollywood Brown. Go deep. And then Dallas, they don't make wide receivers like Dallas Wilson anymore. 6'3", 213. You know, he's on that Dez Bryant, Justin. I don't know why Oklahoma State is coming up so much today, but he's on that Dez Bryant, Justin Blackman type player spectrum, which I feel like those guys are playing safety or defensive end now. We're not seeing those 6'3", 200-pound guys, 6'3", 213 guys play wide receiver a bunch. All right, how should we start this? Should we look at? Let's take a look at Vernell Brown. Let's take a look at Vernell Brown. I don't know who's going to be the number one wide receiver for Florida this year, but they got a lot of options. And all of these guys could be number one. And there's that catch that made, Sports Center and everything last year. All of these guys could be number one wide receivers for a lot of teams in the country. I think I have all three of these guys in my top. I definitely have them in my top 20. It's just how high. I don't know where I have Dallas Wilson ranked. And Dallas Wilson has to stay healthy. He has to stay on the field. But Vernell Brown returning punts for them, just doing a little bit of everything. Just have a great true freshman season to build on. I don't really have a comp for Vernell Brown. I was thinking Jarvis Landry, but I don't know if I feel strongly about it. I feel strongly about, Eric Singleton being Hollywood Brown. And then, it's easy to compare Dallas Wilson to some of these bigger wide receivers because they're just so kind of rare. But Vernell Brown, he's just kind of an do-it-all type player. He can play inside, he can play outside. I think at the next level, he's probably going to play inside and be a punt returner. Similar to like Casey Concepcion, how we expect Casey Concepcion to be used. And Casey Concepcion used in the running game just like Vernell Brown is here. DJ Lagway missing is just kind of crazy, isn't it? Going up and getting the ball, man. He's just a good player. He's just a good football player. That's why I say Jarvis Landry. Because I don't think he's necessarily a deep threat. I don't think he's necessarily, somebody you're going to line up 80% of the time outside. He's going to play out inside. He's going to play outside. He's going to do a little bit of everything. That's why he's Jarvis Landry to me. Return punts for you. He's going to go get it again. Just good hand-eye coordination there. So that's Vernell Brown, man. Let's watch can we watch the one game that Dallas Wilson had against Texas that made his value like go from like the 30s to like top 10? Like, come on, man. But when you're 6'3", 213 and you've got good, athleticism, it doesn't take a lot for your value to shoot through the roof. Fumbles there. He's got to stay healthy. I don't even think he's in the spring right now. Is he? I don't think Dallas Wilson is available right now in the spring. He also had a good spring game last year, if I remember correctly. So, it's this game and then this Texas game and a spring game. This good catch there along the sideline. I got to cover Baylor, see what DJ Lagway is looking at, who's going to be throwing the ball to. Going to come in, coming out. There we go. Touchdown. Go up and get it. He had 2 touchdowns this game. This is just, the skill sets that these wide receivers present is so diverse, the top 3. Wilson, Brown, and Single. This is one of the best wide receiver cores in the country. This is one of the best wide. Everybody's always going to say Ohio State, right? I think Colorado is up there. But Florida, if all of these guys are healthy, if Dallas Wilson is healthy, man, Aaron Philo has a lot of players to throw to. Just look at the strength, man. That's why I'm saying Des Bryant, Justin Blackmon. He's not a burner, right? He's not going to. This is a guy who's probably going to go run a 4.57 at the combine. But good luck pressing him. Good luck pressing him if you're a 180-pound corner in college. He just knocks this corner right off his butt. So that is Dallas Wilson. Man, I'm just trying to think of who the other like elite wide receiver cores are in the country. And of course, we'll cover them all as we go through this exercise. But Colorado's up there. Florida is up there. This is a great wide receiver core. All right, quickly covering some of the other guys. So Vernell Brown, let me just recap those three. Vernell Brown, Eric Singleton, Dallas Wilson. I have them in my top 20, definitely. I think because of the season that he had last year at Auburn, Eric Singleton's being slept on. There's still the potential for Eric Singleton to go in the first round because he's been productive wherever he's been at any time. Freshman, sophomore, last year I throw that away because he shouldn't have gone to Auburn, right? But he's still going to go to the combine and run a sub 4.4. He's going to run a 4.37, something like that. I think he's going to test every bit as good as someone like Zachariah Branch did this year. And who would you rather have, Zachariah Branch or Eric Singleton? I would rather have Eric Singleton because he does it away from the line of scrimmage. Like I don't need a whole bunch of – I can turn anybody into a screen player. And plus, I think that's relatively easy to defend at the NFL level. And it's low upside. It's low upside. Give me somebody that defensive coordinators say, hey, I got to have a safety back there, right? We got to go two shell. That's what everybody plays now anyway. But give me a deep threat, and that's Eric Singleton. So I still think that Eric Singleton has the potential to go in the first round. All right, let's talk about the other guys here briefly, because I don't know that there's necessarily there are these depth pieces. So Bailey Stockton was Aaron Philo's college teammate. TJ Abrams was a little bit of a speedster coming into college last year. And then, I can't remember. He probably had like 150 yards receiving last year. I think he's just a depth piece. So are Micah Hayes and Jalen Lloyd. The two freshmen are the interesting one. Davion Gross, who is similar to Justin Williams in that he is a running back / wide receiver, was listed as an athlete early in his career, but Davion Gross just does it in a thinner, not as well built package. That's why I think Gross is going to be is definitely staying at wide receiver. Justin Williams, not sure. I think that he could potentially just be a running back. At tight end, they bring in Luke Harpring from Georgia Tech and Lakota Dupree, who was a one-time defensive end at Charlotte, then a tight end at JMU last year, and has a few athletic catches on his tape. But the thing about this, at least the Georgia Tech offense with Haynes King. Now, Haynes King was doing a lot of quarterback run. They would put multiple tight ends on the field with Haynes King and then like motion them or pull them to be lead blockers for Haynes King. Aaron Philo is not going to be running a lot, so I'm curious as to how the tight end position is going to be used when your quarterback is not running. If your quarterback's not running, I think it's probably going to be Dupree, who's like the pass catching guy, but I don't think that his ceiling is high enough to warrant ranking him in either C2C, CFF, or any of those things. You're going to find some tight ends with higher ceilings. All right. That's short, man. That's short. What else is there to say about the Florida Gators? We love I love those three wide receivers. I really love Aaron Philo, the potential that he provides, especially at his value. Going to be a top 30 quarterback for me in C2C leagues. Probably a last round pick type guy if you're playing an underdog. But just an interesting team. Let's see what Coach Jon Sumrall does with that team. I'll be around 8:30 Sunday through Thursday this week, covering NC State tomorrow. If you like these videos, go ahead, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all. Peace.